Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bob Dylan Deep Dive. We're still in 1973, his second album of the year, his covers album, titled just Dylan or Dylan 1973, as called by some people. My expectations for this album couldn't be much lower. I've got to admit, it has a poor reputation, and the only song I knew going in was his cover of Big Yellow Taxi, which I do not like. Love the original by Joni Mitchell, of course, but Bob's version never been one I've liked that much. That said, I was surprised by the opening track Lily of the West, which really surprised me. I think it's a lovely way to open. Backing vocals maybe a bit much, but Dylan's vocal, as it does throughout the album, is the highlight. It's the best part of this album for sure. And the arrangement is otherwise pretty strong. Definitely my favorite on the album. Next up, you got Can't Help Falling in Love, which is a pretty hard song to mess up. Dylan does a decent job. It's not world changing or anything, but it's pretty solid. Sarah Jane comes next, which doesn't really work for me. Dylan's vocal, again, is the highlight, but the recording quality is pretty rough, and the song itself is pretty far from interesting. Again, not very tasteful backing vocals. Next, you got the Ballad of Ira Hayes, pretty sleepy, mostly spoken word, not that engaging musically, but I do like in the chorus when Dylan goes to fully belt it. Probably the best vocal performance on the album in terms of that chorus is really strong. But the song itself, bit meandering for me. Mr. Bojangles is so nothing. There's nothing to say about it. It exists. The backing vocals are maybe at their worst on this one. Another contender, though, is the song that comes after it, Mary Ann, which is a lovely song. Sounds like something from his earlier career, maybe like Times They Are Changing or something. But the backing singers completely ruin it. The production is too much. It's an excess, and it doesn't help the recording at all. Big Yellow Taxi comes next. Maybe it's not as bad as Mr. Bojangles, and it's definitely not as bad as his version of The Boxer, but it still pales in comparison to the original. And then you get A Fool Such as I at the end of the album, which sort of has his Nashville skyline country croon voice, which is very jarring coming near the end of the album. And then it ends on Spanish is the Loving Tongue, which is fairly pleasant, but also kind of boring. So very swift review. All that to say, not a good album. I'm going 5 out of 10 because of my song scores, which you'll see in a minute. But I kind of want to go lower, but there aren't really any bad songs on here. There's just a couple that are just not good, but not terrible, like Mr. Bojangles and Big Yellow Taxi. As you can see, those two, Sarah Jane and A Fool Such as I, get a 5 out of 10 from me. Not good, but not the worst things I've ever heard either. And then the best song would be Lily of the West as an 8 out of 10. So it's not bad. It's just sort of mind-numbingly dull. I'm never going to listen to this album again. Pretty certain of that much. And you know what that means. It's below even Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, which was at the bottom of the ranking for one episode only. Dylan has gone to the bottom of the ranking as a 5 out of 10. So 1973, not the best year for him. But next up is Planet Waves, which I know has its fans, and then the 3 albums after that are all albums that I know and really like, being Blood on the Tracks, The Basement Tapes, and Desire. So it's going to get a lot easier for me with those 3. We'll see how Planet Waves goes. I'm kind of intrigued to check that one out for sure. Bob working with the band again. But yeah, let me know what you think of Dylan, 1973, where you would rank it in the overall ranking, what your favorite song is. Another very quick review from me here, because there is not much to say about this album at all. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you haven't. Hopefully I'll catch you soon.